Welcome to the Teach Big podcast, or should we say TriCast, where big energy, big ideas, and big results are just the beginning. I'm your host, Randi Whitney, and whether you're in year 1 or year 20, this podcast is for you to help you teach big in every kind of way. That's right, B-I-G. Here, education is inspired, energy is required, and the support for teachers is absolutely non-negotiable. I would greatly appreciate it if you would like, comment, subscribe so that you too can become a part of our Teach Big family. So we call it a TriCast today because I have with me two very special guests from a preschool, an early childhood preschool in Kemah, Texas, and we're actually filming all of this, and we had so many amazing nuggets. If I were an outsider looking in and trying to take notes, I don't think I could even write fast enough. So we've decided to make this a two-parter. So welcome to part 1. Help me welcome Danielle and Rylie. Danielle, she is the curriculum coordinator, and this is Rylie. She is the principal of the preschool. All in all, they service about 250 young little kiddos every day, day in and day out, and of course all the corresponding families that go with them. So we're here to talk about that early childhood piece of the puzzle, everything from content to craft, all the way up to complement. So we're going to explore all of that. So ladies, will each of you tell me a little bit about yourselves? Danielle, go ahead.
My name is Danielle Dodson. I am a mom of 3 young boys, and I am the curriculum coordinator at Strawberry Fields. I have been in education for nearly 10 years now, which is crazy to say.
Right.
But yeah, I have like a ridiculous passion for education and teaching and teachers and
Well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you using your time on a TriCast. So, Rylie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Let the audience get to know you as well.
Yes, my name is Rylie Saylor. I am the principal at Strawberry Fields and work side by side with Danielle. We work really hard. We've been working together for years and years and years, but I have been in education for almost over 15, which is also insane. I have a son myself and an incredible staff. I also, prior to being the principal of Strawberry Fields, did PD with Teach Big for 8 years plus, something like that. So I have lots of experience, grades K through 12 as well.
So we talk a lot about how integral parents are, especially at this age. Could you guys tell me, let's have a conversation about what do you guys feel is your ideal parent?
Excellent question. I think for me, my ideal parent falls somewhere in the middle, right? There's this huge spectrum. And for me, I want a parent that is involved and advocates for their child with realistic expectations. Now, I'm sure that's something we all strive for as parents, right? That's the kind of parent that I want to be for my son as well. And I think that's been the hardest thing. Any educator that's also a mom or dad, I think, can understand how difficult it is to have perspective. And I think you gain so much perspective being on both sides of that because you know what it's like as a teacher to have a parent coming to you with concerns. And I think as a mom, I have voiced concerns that I question if I am rooted in the space that I would want to receive as a teacher. And so that to me really looks like somebody who shows up for their kiddos and advocates for their kiddos, because that is my heart outside my body. And that's my call to action, is to make sure that he grows up to be this incredible human being. Simultaneously, I think it's really important to have empathy and understanding for where your educators are coming from. Because we spend lots of times, more time with your kids than you spend with your kids. And
that is so true.
I try to justify or make sure that my kid's teacher understands that I know that you spend more time with him than I do even. And I do think, as much as it's hard as a parent not to get intimidated by that factor, I think recognizing that they get to see the ins and outs of the way my child behaves on a regular hour by hour basis is super valid. And knowing that they have insight that I don't is really, really helpful as well. So I think going and approaching, my ideal parent has a level of empathy where they can understand that my teachers serve such a huge place and have, they're helping to raise your kid, I think is really, really
Do you think
big.
you're, speaking of your own child, do you feel like there was the before Mav and after Mav version
hands
of
down.
yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I don't think any parent can not have this like huge transformation because as parents, we all go through the list of things we will and will never do. And then that list completely goes out the window when you give birth.
Completely.
So I definitely think post-Mav has so much more understanding for why parents can come across in a way that seems overwhelming to, especially baby teacher Rylie, where I was like, whoa, buddy, take a step back. But as a mama, it's helped me so much in communicating with my parents because I can say, I totally get it. Because there have been those moments where it's crazy. You hear stories of someone hurting your kid or
And it's
them not
hard.
paying attention and you're like, not my baby. But yeah, actually it is your baby. And that I think is really imperative is to the ability to take your personal investment, although it's the biggest investment you've made in your entire life. I totally get it. But I think having moments where you can take your love out of the occasion, not that I'm saying that wrong. If you can take your emotions out of the equation and root yourself in logic and empathy, I think it allows you to make a lot better choices and have more quality discussions with your child's teacher.
I remember hearing you makes me think back to when our oldest, he's 28 now, but when he was 3 years old and he was at his own preschool, I'll never forget, he loved dressing up and he wore penny loafers. A lot of our audience won't even know what that is, but he wore penny loafers. And I remember him asking, I need for a penny for each. I was like, oh, baby, you don't really put pennies in penny loafers. He's like, no, there's a place for the penny. I want to put a penny in my penny loafers. And my husband and I are like, oh, I don't think that's a good choice. What if he takes it out? What if he swallows it? He's like, no, Mom, I have to have pennies. And like, he couldn't get out of the loop. He needed a penny for the penny loafers. So my husband found pennies for the penny loafers. And my husband goes, I feel like they're going to make fun of him for pennies in his penny loafers. I said, look, they're 3. They don't care, whatever. Oh, I was wrong. So some kids, sure enough, made fun of him. So my husband drops him off the next morning at preschool, and my husband took a while. Normally, he's not super talkative. And so he goes in, drops the child off, comes right on back out. But he was in there a while. I'm like, what is happening? He comes out, he gets in the car, he shuts the door really hard. I'm like, Kenny, are you okay? He said, I am so mad right now. It's taking everything I have to not feel the way I feel right now toward a 3-year-old. And I said, oh no, what did Jake do? He goes, no, Jake was fine. I said, you're feeling this way about another 3-year-old? He's like, yes. I said, who? He goes, I don't even know their name. I don't know who it was. I just took Jake, got him settled in his little spot, and this kid immediately starts laughing at his pennies. I said, honey, you predicted that would happen. He said, right, but I was not prepared for when another kid made fun of our kid for what he was wearing. He said, I'm about to lose my stuff right now. I said, honey, they're 3 years old. Jake won't even remember it in 10 minutes. It's fine. You're the one who it's going to stay with you. He said, you're right. That's going to stay with me forever. He said, I've never understood why people get so hot and bothered by little things like that with their kids. And he said, this is over penny loafers. I'm having to really think my whole life through right now. I said, babe, just get in the car. Let's just drive to work. Just drive to work. It's going to be okay. So Jake was fine with the penny loafers. He kept wearing the pennies. He loved the pennies. He was proud of the pennies from that day forward. It never bothered him that anyone made fun of him. Maybe the kid didn't even make fun of him. Maybe that was Kenny's interpretation. I don't know. But that was the first time that Jake had been anywhere where Kenny had experienced somebody hurting his kid, you know, and it was a penny loafer.
It's so true though. Danielle and I lean on each other a lot from an administrative perspective, because there are times where I will look at her and be like, I need you to handle it because my heart's too invested.
No,
and
smart.
Vice versa. Because ultimately, but it makes you have perspective for parents, because as a teacher, if I have done it all, seen it all, made every phone call under the sun, and I still am having this kind of visceral reaction towards something that's happening with my child, then of course these parents are panicking over the best thing they have to offer the world. You know,
right.
It's just...
Yeah. All right, Danielle. Okay, so Rylie and I kind of monopolized that for a minute. It's your turn, friend.
Okay, so mine is a little bit different.
Okay.
I think that one of my favorite things is going into a tour, because we get tours every day, and a parent having a list of questions. Oh, I love that. I love the opportunity to tell them about our school, and I love that they are so invested in their child's education that they have brought
that they thought
this long list of questions for us to answer. Because then not only, if they choose to come with us, not only have we just like wowed their socks off, but it just shows me how much they really truly care about their child's education. And I think that also like just goes back to, I love a good challenge. I love to be able to like prove and like show how incredible we are, and like show all of the incredible opportunities.
Ask me anything
Yes.
mentality.
Yes.
I love that. Okay, so let's move from the ideal parent to the ideal teacher. And y'all can go in any order.
I'll let you take it first.
Okay. I love a teacher who looks at the curriculum, says, okay, I'm going to teach all of this curriculum, but I'm going to put my own spin on it. I'm going to take this curriculum and level it up. I love teachers who want to explore all of the different avenues and want to make it their own and make learning fun for students. And don't get me wrong, there are places that, you know, just going by the curriculum and going by the book is incredible. And, you know, that's where we want all of our teachers to be, is we want them to be at this baseline. But I just love a teacher who is so invested that she feels convicted to do more. I love that.
So good.
And they're just so much fun
too.
to like bounce ideas off of.
Yes.
And I love that so much.
And I think that also takes an administrator who allows that to happen and appreciates that and encourages that. So I commend you for being that kind of administrator, because the only way you're going to get teachers who own their curriculum is because of leadership who expects them to own it.
And I think it's fun for me too. I love walking into a classroom and being wowed by another person's brain.
Yes, me too.
That makes me so happy. And hearing the parents just rave about how incredible our teachers are, it just really fills my cup also.
So good. So good. Rylie, what about you?
My top two are, first and foremost, that I love a self-starter. I love someone who's driven and within reason, right? I don't want someone who monopolizes, but I think having the drive and the passion and being so invested in your classroom and your curriculum and your kids that you don't need permission to accomplish every tiny little task along the way is really good.
Yes.
Because from an administrative perspective, it's, you know, it's sometimes, as much as you want to come alongside everyone, even in their teeny tiny decisions, you have those
You're
people.
just one girl.
Yes, yeah, and they're trepidatious. It's like, hey, Rylie, can I hang this up in my classroom? And I'm like, yeah, girl, you don't have to ask. So there's just those little things where I would rather you be a self-starter, and I would rather come by and, you know, help with growth opportunities within the choices you've already made than have to make every single choice for you. Because ultimately, you are in this position for a reason. I think my teachers, knowing that I trust them to do what is best for our kids and our school and our staff, is imperative. Because if I trust you, then you can make choices rooted in that trust. And that, I think, is the big thing for me. And then communication. think at one point Danielle's the one who said she heard this worded a specific way, and they talked about how like communication can't be a soft skill. It has to be something that is a hard expectation, you know, because you have those things when we do interviews and things.
Like that.
Yeah. Because I mean, there are things when you are looking at the qualities of an employee, you've got these soft skills. So things that you could be good at that would benefit your job, but then you have your like hard non-negotiables. And for a long time, we have looked at communication as a soft skill. And it's just not, there's no room for.
Yeah, it's required.
Yeah, you have to be a quality communicator. And if you're not because that's how you work with your kids
how you do
and
it.
your coworkers and your parents and your administrative staff and all the things. So the two biggest things I look for is a self-starter and an excellent communicator when it comes to teaching staff.
I think when I think of a perfect teacher, I think of somebody who owns every single thing she does and owns the greatness that she is, the cool ideas, the cool poster on the wall that she's living up to. And, you know, all of that, own the greatness. Don't be like, oh, I didn't do it. Don't do that. Own it, girl. That was awesome. Own it.
Yes.
But I also want you to be the girl who, when I say, you know, who didn't shut the gate on the playground, if you are the one who didn't shut the gate on the playground, I want you to say right then, right there, unapologetically, I did not shut the gate on the playground.
Agreed.
And I don't want the teacher to be like, well, the reason I didn't shut the gate was
Just own it.
Just straight up own it. And then you also have to be the administrator that appreciates that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That follows that up with, thank you for owning that. Thank you for answering me right away and directly. And I think after a while, when you treat your staff that way and ownership is the expectation of the good, the bad, the ugly, then they realize, oh, she's serious. And I remember when I was in the administrative capacity of the school, when people would start coming to me, you two included, as teachers, Randi, I need to let you know what I did. I'm like, I didn't even figure it out yet.
I still do it.
It's like, here's what happened. And it can be from the little things, the medium to the big things. But what that's led to is a relationship that, you know, you can come to me with anything. You know, I'm here for you. And all of our teachers feel that way.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
how you
trust.
make the teachers feel.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I think Rylie and I talk about it all the time, but having a relationship with your team allows them to feel that comfort to come tell you like,
Right.
hey, I messed up. This is what I did. Or, hey, I won at this. Like, this was my big win of the week. And then, you know, holding that space to say, or have those hard conversations or say like, hey, congratulations. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. One of my favorite things too, Danielle implemented just with one employee staff member, we do growth plans. So growth plans are not, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble, let's get better. We do have those. They're called coaching plans, but rarely do we ever have to put a coaching plan in place, thank goodness. Every single member of our staff, myself included, Danielle included, is on a growth plan. And the goal with those growth plans are that we are always working towards and creating a culture of, it almost goes back to that culture of compliments, like you creating a space where you are rooted in a growth mindset. So you're going to continually look at getting better. Even the very best teachers in the building are on a growth plan.
All be better.
Yeah. And so one person had approached Danielle and said, I'm struggling with maintaining positivity throughout the day. I get really run down. And she said, okay, so that's another thing is on their growth plan. Danielle and I work really hard to make sure they have tangible ways in which they can improve. So not just focus on the positive, but like, you're going to do this, this, and this in order to focus on the positive. So she had this particular teacher told her, I want you to share your positive of the day with your team. And so she started going into our group chat and would say, my positive of the day is, and fill in the blank. And over time, every other employee on the team started to share their positive of the day too. And
so
still,
good.
I mean, on my
So
drive,
good.
on my drive up here, my phone kept binging, and every time it would go off, it was these teachers being like, my positive of the day is so-and-so's laugh, or my positive of the day was this child saying they loved the lesson we were doing. And so it's really just this this text of celebration. And I think that is what builds the relationships. It's what builds the trust, because now we're not just getting through and doing your job, but we're celebrating your wins alongside you. And like you said, it's those teachers living up to the posters on the wall. If you're gonna
hang it, you better live it.
Yes. And so if the goal is positivity, how do you do that? Because it's enough for us to list out expectations. It's another thing for us to tell you how to reach those expectations.
And then have the follow through and the compliments when you reach them.
Yes. Yeah.
I had a parent, it reminds me, this happy text thing going on, the positive thing. So I had a parent, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 15 years ago. Every single day when she would pick up her child, she would say to the child, "Did anybody bother you today?" Why are we picking up our child? And that is your first question.
Yeah.
I let it go. And this would be the same mom that by the time she got home, she'd already emailed me, this little kid did this. Listen, look, all of those things probably happened. However, I asked for a conference with the mom, and I was pretty early on in my career as an administrator, where I thought, I'm going to step out and be brave, but I have to, because this cannot keep happening.
Right.
So I had a meeting with her. And of course, I had a witness in there because I did not know how this was going to go down. And I said, I want to be frank with you. I want us to try something. Every single day when you pick up your daughter, I would like the first question to be, what was your favorite thing you did today? And then I want your second question to be, what would you change about anything you did today? And she said, okay. And I said, now let's talk about why I would like you to start with those two questions. They are centered around your child and how your child perceives their surroundings and how your child can improve, before asking how other people changed your kid.
Right, because at the end of the day, we're responsible for our own bodies.
For us.
Right.
And not only that, but that's what I wish, I know we're going back to parents a little, but that's what I wish parents realized is you are teaching your child how to look for the positivity in their day. We do family discussions every night.
That's right.
And I ask Maverick, what was the best part of your day? What is one small thing you were grateful for today? How did you help someone else? How did somebody else help you? And then at the end, I say, what was the worst part of your day? Or did you have sad moments? Because there's space for that.
That's okay.
But he knows.
Not the lead out.
Exactly. He knows what we talked about. We talked about it last night. I said, he was like, I don't know how I helped someone today. And I said, if you know that we're going to talk about it every night, then I want you spending your day trying to figure out when you help somebody. Because if you think about it during the day, then you can tell me easily at nighttime. And you're teaching your kids how to look for the positivity so that you don't have them grow up to be that adult that says, I can't find positivity in my day anywhere. You're teaching them a life skill, because if you continue to yuck everybody's yum, you're gonna always yuck everybody's yum. It's just
well, the end of that story is that young lady's now graduated from high school. She's in college. That mom emailed me. Well, it was a Facebook message. I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or so, and she said, "I've never told you this, but you made a big difference on me as a parent that I used forever." And she was also a teacher.
Oh, that's awesome.
And she said, and I want you to know what a big difference you made in my parenting. And I know that I didn't receive you very well in the conversation. We went on and we bonded through it, but it wasn't a deep bond. She said, but I want you to know that through the years, I have been bonding with you because of your bravery in coming to me, and because of your true words you said to me. And it's been on my heart to tell you thank you. And I was like, Kenny, you need to read this. Because this was a hard mom. It was a hard mom. She was a great mom, great advocate for her kids. She was an excellent mom. But what she was doing to her daughter was setting her up for the negative pieces to be more important than the positive pieces. And you can ask my own kids, and I do this with you guys too. I do it with everybody I know. I always say, well, what was your favorite thing? What was your, I'll ask you after today, what was your favorite thing about the podcast? You know, so better be ready, have an answer. But I'm always asking everybody, what was your favorite present? What was your favorite part of the day? And that's just changing the mindset over and over and over. And I also have come to understand, especially when my kids were young, of course, they're all grown and away from home now, but when they were young and I could tell that they had the potential of going into a spiral moment of sadness or frustration or something, I'd be like, so what is your favorite thing about what you're doing right now? Like you're in a hard homework assignment, you can tell they're about to spiral because it's hard. So what's your favorite thing? Mom, no, time out. What's your favorite thing? And it just is a reset.
Yeah.
Just a reset. So I know we got a little bit off of that for a minute, but so important. And it is a life skill. And I also have to do that with myself. It's like, okay, what are the good things around me right now?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and think in the classroom, I know I'm sorry, I'm continuing the segue, but in the classroom, using it as a teaching tool. So if you tell your kids at the beginning of the lesson, I'm going to ask you at the end of this what your favorite part was. I want you to be thinking about it.
They'll
You are
categorize
setting them
it
up
in their head differently. Absolutely. Oh, so good. Okay, so students are at the heart of it. So they're next. What makes for you the ideal student?
Well, I know that you know this, and Rylie knows this too. I have a big heart for the kids that are a little bit tougher. I feel like in every single way, shape, and form, anytime that a teacher was like, oh, I can't, I need a break, and I was like, give them to me. Let me have them.
Yes.
Let me
I'll
pour
take
into
them.
them and figure them out. Because oftentimes there is just a need that isn't being met. Not because we're incapable of meeting that need, but because we just haven't met it yet. And so being able to get to know the kid, build a relationship with the kid, and like unlock almost their potential, and then just to see them from like the very beginning and see how far we can take them. I think that is that's my favorite, because it's so easy to be like, oh, my ideal kid is the one who doesn't talk back. My ideal kid is the one that comes in and sits down and does all of the things right the first time. That's an easy kid, and they're easy to love, but like loving one of the ones that's not
harder.
that easy, it just really fills my heart. And seeing them come to their true potential once those needs are met.
Oh,
I
that's
agree.
good.
I love a kid with grit. I think
Me too.
I
Give
think
me a
that's-
sassy pants.
Me too. Yeah. I think for me, my ideal kid is someone who understands that like you don't give up when the going gets tough. Because I can work with that kid on anything. I don't need a perfect kid. I don't want a perfect kid.
No.
Otherwise, that makes my job obsolete, right? And don't get me wrong. Those of you out there with perfect babies, send them our way all the time. But simultaneously, I think as a parent, it's very easy to be like, ooh, my kid can be a hard one. And I think writing them off as your ideal student is just silly. That's just not the case. If they have perseverance, then they are my perfect kid.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, my perfect kid is the one who's always questioning me or having ideas. Give me that kid. And that could be the little girl who sits there so sweet and quiet all day long. And then all of a sudden she says, but what if, and she fills in the blank. And I'm like, I was thinking right there.
Yeah.
I really like the ones who challenge me. And I don't mean it's a disrespectful challenge.
No.
And I don't mean it's an everyday challenge. I mean challenge me with their brains.
Right.
Who bring those questions to the table, who make me think. Like, oh, I need to get back with you on that. Even when they're the little ones, it's like, I don't know. And when they give me an opportunity to say I don't know, then they know tomorrow I'm going to know, and I'm going to bring back the answer for you. And I tell, students, and I tell teachers in seminars all the time, when you ask me a question, I'm going to have one of three answers. I'm either going to have, this is the answer, it's proven, it's absolute, it's the answer, or I'm going to make a prediction answer. So it may not be proven somewhere, but I'm going to predict with my educational prowess probably what the answer is. And my number 3 is I don't have a clue, but I will find out for you. And so in my classrooms, I would always want those kids ask me questions, ask me more. Ask me more. Because to me, at the end of the day, if we're building curiosity, we're building inventors. We're building creators.
Absolutely.
We're changing the world if we're opening curiosity. So give me the kid that asks me a million questions. Ladies, thank you so much for being here. You have such insight and so much love for kids and so much love for education and so much love for your school. I really appreciate you sharing because that's what this is all about. Having these conversations with fellow educators, fellow parents, relating to each other and realizing we're not in this alone. We are not in this alone. We are all in this together. So thanks for joining me today, ladies and gentlemen. If this has inspired you, and I don't see how it couldn't, share it with a colleague, or better yet, take it to heart, take it to your own big heart, your big heart, and love it with your whole self. Implement things in your classroom, in your lives, with your kids, with the people you love. But also subscribe on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. You can see us in all the places. But until next time, think big, teach big, and believe in the greatness that is absolutely within you.